Hello there. Many thanks for joining us yet on another episode of the Candid Talk here on Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. My name is Evan Sokinyi. I'm glad that you're here with us. As usual, I'm here with Professor Herman Manyora, ready to delve into matters that are actually affecting our nation. Prof, how are you?
Fine.
Welcome to the show.
Good. Thank you, Evan.
Here we are. And last time we had the chat about the move by the United Democratic Alliance Party to actually appoint Cleopas Malala as the Secretary General of the UDA party right now. And actually what I saw is that immediately was appointed, he went to Twitter and ranted how he's actually going to paint Kisumu yellow, and actually they're kind of trying to make their ways down there. Do you think that this kind of strategy of making sure that UDA is a national party, and especially starting with areas such as Kisumu, of course, that is Raila Odinga's backyard, will it really work?
You know, youth is good. When people are young, they have energy, vigor like Malala. But sometimes wisdom, they always they are compromised on wisdom. They are reckless. It may be necessary. But in this particular instance, I think wisdom should prevail. At what time is he provoking the people? You know, that's why I say sometimes before we give jobs to boys, we must weigh the consequences. Yeah.
Like, you don't think
if Malala is talking like that at a time the country is on tenterhooks, there's so much tension in the country. People are talking about mass action, and you talk stupidly like that. I'm sorry to use that word, but that's what I can't use another word. It shows juvenile. You know, even I tweeted like that, juvenile. You don't say that. You can do it. Kisumu is not in Uganda. Kisumu is in Kenya. You just go and do your thing. Just recruit your people, and there are people. UDA has followers in Kisumu. Use them. Open 1 or 2 offices. You are in government. There's security. If boys try to, and it can't even be this time of the year, this time now. When what is going on in the country, it will make it very stupid for somebody to target Kisumu for, painting yellow. You know, that is lack of wisdom. Yeah, that's lack of wisdom. It's childish. Let's be a little fair. Let's use the word childish.
So what do you think Cleopas Malala is trying to do? Is he trying to kind of stretch his muscles and say, well, I'm up to the task like any other Secretary General of the
There are many things he can do to show he's up to the task. Look, that's why I'm saying it's childish. Going to Kisumu in a show of might with a lot of vehicles trying to paint it red, you know you are not going to have any impact. But what are you trying to achieve? You are trying to add salt to injury. The people of Kisumu are hurting perhaps more than anybody else. And the country is living with a lot of tension, with the mass action and the rest of the things are happening, being in the air. As if that's not enough, he goes to, I don't know, Eldoret or where, and orders the Mudavadi, Wetangula parties to close shop, what he calls kiosks, and join UDA. What is the wisdom in that? You know, and I say this of ODM also, and my friend didn't like it, being Secretary General of a big party like UDA means quite something. It's an honor, it's a privilege to have such a position at that age, to be entrusted with a job like that. You must show that you are also mature. There are sensitivities. There are things you can do, but we don't talk about them. There are things you talk about them, you don't have an intention of doing. You must balance. I think Malala is off the mark, and if I was scoring him, I'll give 0 out of 10.
So for you, this is not a very good move for
No, it's juvenile.
No. Speaking of what you've just hinted at, that is trying to tell the ANC and the other constituent party, of course, of Kenya Kwanza, that is Ford Kenya, to actually fold and join the party, or perhaps risk forfeiting or rather relinquishing their positions that they've been given in government. Well, I wonder what your thoughts are on this. But then the other time when we had this conversation about UDA's move, you said very well here that ANC is finished. But we also saw the other day, remember right now, definitely Musalia Mudavadi is not the leader of the Man National Congress Party. We saw the leader, Issa Timami, of course, and he came out rightly and said, well and good, our support for the Kenya Kwanza government is unquestionable, but then that does not mean we're going to fold down our party. So yeah, my question then comes, what then do we see? Do you think that these are just but words that Cleopas Malala is saying, or there is some sort of an intention to ensure that these parties actually join up so that UDA can have that sort of a national outlook?
You know what? I said many things when Malala was appointed.
Definitely. I
congratulated him. I said he was up to the task. Did I say like that?
Yes, you said.
I said, in fact, ANC is already dead. I said all those things. But Malala has disappointed me. After I said, even people have been calling me. After I said all those good things about him, he then disappoints me badly. Ameniangusha mtu wangu huyu bwana. He has let me down, Malala. He has let me down. Yes. Because I said very nice things in your show. Yeah, because I believe he has the energy, he's a capable young man. Then you disappoint. This is the problem of youthful leaders in this country. Give them a job and disappoint you the following day. And now this is hurting their age mates. Because nobody can now trust these young people to do anything. Because they're just useless. Now, you see, the intention to have UDA swallow these other parties has been there all along. In fact, the marriage was a marriage of convenience. I said it, okay? Ruto had said, in fact, from Vihiga, where I come from, that if anybody wanted to join him, they had to come within UDA. He only gave in when he realized Raila was coming at a threatening speed. Initially he was ahead. Then Raila was coming to overtake him. So as a strategy to forestall that, to manage that, he embraced ANC, Ford Kenya and the rest. He never quite liked it. He never hid it. So it is obvious. And it can happen. It can even be in the interest of UDA and the government, Kenya Kwanza and the government. But is it something you want to speak carelessly about when you are the Secretary General? Can you give Mudavadi a week's ultimatum? Who are you? You are still a juvenile politician. You can't stand and give Wetangula, a senior politician from your area, at 1 week to fall for the Kenya surely. I thought that is something which should be in-house, boardroom, so that the president meets his colleagues over a cup of tea several times and convinces them. And they also share with him the fears they have, the repercussions at home. Then they arrive at something. But now if you give young people jobs, they disappoint you. Yeah.
So it's not actually right to demand...
No. It can happen, but with the tact and at a higher level. Malala is not at the level of Mudavadi or Wetangula. It's lower. He may be a Secretary General of a party. But the reality on the ground is not at their level. He's still a young politician. He cannot give Wetangula ultimatum at Mudavadi 1 week to fold your party. What are you talking about? Or leave your office. Does he know how Mudavadi got that office? Did he enter the room where Wetangula was negotiating with Ruto?
But then,
could he, even if he was in the compound, could he enter the house? Leave alone the room, the boardroom where they were seated. He was outside with watchmen and drivers when Mudavadi and Wetangula were discussing with Ruto. How can he then give them ultimatum?
But during the campaign period, of course, Cleopas Malala was a force to reckon with. How then do we just...
Which force? Which force? He has a future. And I acknowledge that. And I've said it. Youthful, vibrant, smart, intelligent. Lakini ameniangusha. Blunder after blunder. There's a problem with power. Waswahili wanasema kichwa cha kuku akistahili kilemba bwana. Akistahili kilemba. Give somebody power, then you know, like the wife to Obama. What is her name? Michelle. She says, power does not spoil people. It reveals who they are. So give somebody some small power, then you know who they are. Malala is jumping all over like, I don't want to say what sort of things jump over when they are in whatever states.
Anyway, yes. Prof, that notwithstanding, of course, what Malala is trying to do right now, definitely we've seen that take place before. You remember when the position for the Senate of Bungoma actually fell vacant after the appointment of Moses Wetangula as the Speaker of the National Assembly. Of course, UDA tried all it could and actually fielded they fielded a candidate therein who competed against Ford Kenya's candidate. And of course, there have been statements being made previously before. I remember that statement by the President William Ruto before then he was a deputy president, actually saying that some of these parties are village parties, and actually referring to Wetangula's Ford Kenya, saying well and good. The only place that perhaps Wetangula could file a candidate then could be around, that was speaking and addressing about Kabuchai, that is constituency during that particular time. And of course, Ford Kenya came and won that kind of stuff. My question is this: do you think that the president is still actually following up his intention to ensure that he absorbs all these parties?
Two things. Number one, I've said, the president has not hidden his intention.
So the intention is very clear.
Very clear. That he will have one party, UDA. Actually, he's the one who pushed for the Jubilee party. Definitely. The big Jubilee that swallowed others. And therefore, it's not something strange or new to him. The second thing is, I hope I'm wrong, the president has not had much respect for these people. And the evidence is there. The president hasn't shown, in my understanding and thinking, that he has much value, much respect for Mudavadi or Wetangula. He has done this through a number of things, including fielding people. The MP for Mudavadi, Mudavadi's own MP at home is UDA. Only recently in the by-election in Bungoma, where Wetangula comes from, to fill his seat when he became speaker, UDA harassed them a lot. So I don't think the president has much regard to them. But the third thing, which is even now very important, which is perhaps why Malala is behaving the way he's behaving. The president knows that Wetangula and Mudavadi are so indebted to him, there isn't a single thing he would want that they can't do. And that's why Malala may be speaking the way he's speaking. It takes me back. You know, when you say things, well, Manyora, you have said things, they have never worked, as if I'm a prophet. I'm not a prophet. And anything we say is not scientific in terms of projections.
Definitely.
Yeah, and when I said Musalia Mudavadi and Wetangula were writing their political obituary, people didn't understand. Because what does Ruto's victory mean to Mudavadi in terms of his political future? What does Ruto's victory mean to Wetangula in terms of political future? They only got a kick out of frustrating Raila. They felt Raila should have given them support. They felt entitled to the support from Raila and Uhuru. So they were angry, annoyed, bitter, and sulking. And therefore, they chose to hit at Raila out of anger and sulking and whatever those things are. It is not that where they were going was any better. And that's the chicken are home to roost. They are going to be mistreated. And in terms of political future, what I said still stands. What future can Mudavadi have within the context of Kenya Kwanza? What future? Because Ruto do, let us say, 10 years. So wameanza tayari. Had someone saying 10 year Ruto, 10 year Gachagua. It was the same Malala. Same Malala who said, same Malala, I think it's Malala who said it from Eldoret. Yeah, Malala or somebody.
So 10 year Ruto, 10 year Gachagua.
Yes. But Malala was in that function. I can't remember who said it.
But we also had this kind of statements before. 10 year Uhuru, 10 year Ruto.
Ruto is doing his 10. He started his 10.
Yes, he started his 10, but then he had to move out his way. The one who gave up that promise,
although people can forget, they may not forget with the speed which people think. It will be very difficult for Ruto to turn against Gachagua. And there is no evidence. Not the remotest indication.
Why was it easy for Uhuru to turn against Ruto?
Uhuru, if you look at the entire project of BBI and everything else, and looking at the national discourse, you can understand why he turned against Ruto. It will be very difficult for Gachagua. And the manner in which they are going, I do not imagine a situation where Ruto can turn against Gachagua. I can't imagine. It's very difficult. So, Gachagua 10, Ruto 10, 20. Mudavadi is 60 or thereabouts, my friend. My friend, he will be 80. There's no path to power for Mudavadi and Wetangula through UDA. There isn't.
Does it mean
even remotely? There isn't.
Does it mean therefore that
maybe the other side there was always the chance? There was a very big chance that if Mudavadi stuck with Raila, there was a very big chance that his fortunes his star would continue shining. He would have a constituency to inherit first. If he was making a serious bid for the president in a post-Raila campaign, say Raila has become president and is not standing or is not there to stand, whatever it is, and Mudavadi has backed him. He starts with the Luhya and the Luo, a big block. That block can only be countered if the Kikuyu and the Kalenjin are united. And there can be no saying that the Kikuyu and the Kalenjin going forward will always be united. The bigger possibility, in fact, is that the Kikuyu will produce their own candidate. So in a situation where Ruto is running, the Kikuyu have produced a serious candidate, even if Ruto is still with Gachagua. And Mudavadi is running with the support of Raila. Who starts number one? It's Mudavadi. So if he didn't see these things and wanted to sulk, now young boys like Malala will tell him, give him a week to fall what Malala calls their kiosks. They invited it and they will have it. And I warned them. Yeah, I told them. Because I love them. And I love my community. I know Kenyan, you start at home. And I told them, it is in your interest and the interest of the Luhya nation for you to strategically work with Raila Odinga. Yeah.
Taking you back to what perhaps could have caused the problem, or rather could have led to the breaking of ranks between the president back then, Uhuru Kenyatta, and the deputy president, William Ruto, at that particular time, perhaps a number of Kenyans would say that there could be some sort of ideological differences during that time. But then right now, as you look at Gachagua and Ruto, do you think that such kind of differences could exist?
Yeah.
And that perhaps Mudavadi could capitalize on that? Yes?
Let me tell you
Or
this.
are these people just of the
I want to tell you two things. The first must start at Karen. When everybody in UDA, Kenya Kwanza, is trying to convince Ruto that your running mate should be Professor Kithure Kindiki.
Professor Kithure. That is back.
Everybody in the room.
That period of time when they wanted Professor
They voted severally. The night of long knives.
Yeah, definitely, I remember now what you're talking about.
They did opinion polls. These days, you can just do opinion polls in a second from Mount Kenya. Kithure Kindiki.
Everything was.
They repeated Kithure Kindiki. They did it national. Kithure Kindiki. Not in a competition where Kithure Kindiki gets all the votes in the room, in Mount Kenya, and nationally. But Ruto ignored. That's why it must start. To tell you, these people are birds of a feather. They are working together.
Even after the Mount MPs voted for
Kindiki. They are in this thing together. And there's nothing that can convince me that Ruto can drop Gachagua. And that brings me to the second thing. The dream of ever getting to power because people support you or give you has been the bane of the Luhya nation through Mudavadi. From Moi's day, Mudavadi was meant to believe Moi will give him power. Then from nowhere, Uhuru came into the picture. I could see the pain on Mudavadi's face. The day Moi revealed in Mount Elgon, I had taken breakfast with Moi in Eldoret State Lodge. Those who are with me can confirm. We were the first people for Moi to tell publicly. I even wonder why he was telling the police, the media there, not to reveal this, to hush it up. Because a few hours later he dropped Mount Elgon and they said it is Uhuru Kenyatta. And Mudavadi was I could see the pain That was not enough.
Sorry.
He later believed that Raila was going to support him. When that wasn't coming, he bolted from ODM and went to something called UDF, having been lied to by people at State House, led by a man called Wanjoy, that the system says it is you. And he got a paltry 400,000 when others were getting millions of votes. Raila brought him back on fold. When he came back on fold, in the fold, he still thought in 2017 he would be the compromise candidate between Kalonzo and Raila. They didn't give him. At least he remained. As we headed to 2022, Mudavadi was convinced that more than Kalonzo, he will get Raila's favor and become the running mate. That didn't work. And then he focused on Uhuru Kenyatta, because Uhuru was now running the show after the handshake. So it was believed whoever Uhuru blessed will be the presidential candidate to face Ruto, and he will win. Mudavadi thought it was him. If Luhya think I'm lying, the day we were burying the mother to Musalia Mudavadi,
Definitely.
the way Uhuru spoke there, Mudavadi and indeed every Luhya was convinced they were going to be given this thing. That's why when it changed and it looked like Uhuru was focusing elsewhere, first on Matiang'i perhaps, and then on Raila, Mudavadi went into sulking. Angry at Raila Odinga and at Uhuru Kenyatta. So I'm so surprised, and it pains me as a man from the region, that they are back in the same game. The Luhyas are back believing. You talk to any Luhya, even an educated Luhya. Some stopped me at Kencom when I wanted to board my bus. These Luhyas who make stories, these people who do stories in town, Bunge, that they are Luhyas. So now you are now standing in the way of Mudavadi. I say, I would be the happiest man if Mudavadi became president. I would be the happiest. I would have bragging rights. But that Ruto is going anaenda kutema Gachagua. Ruto will not support Gachagua. It's support Mudavadi. Surely we can't learn.
So you say these people are daydreaming?
That's dreaming. For I want to repeat for avoidance of doubt. Mudavadi path to president through Kenya Kwanza is a dream. And to top it up by saying, if you are waiting for Ruto to drop Gachagua to pick Mudavadi in 2027 or 2032, they thought they were saying it was 2027 because it now is becoming clear it's not possible. They are now focusing on 2032 because even Mudavadi himself has now said that 2027 tuambiane ukweli ndugu zangu. Huyu mjamaa anaenda kushinda. That Kimaragoli Kiswahili. Huyu mjamaa anaenda kushinda. Which is good. It could be true. So for 2027 Mudavadi has surrendered.
2032.
Once he surrendered, the troops now, the Luhyas, began focusing on 2032. It will be too late.
Well and good. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to wrap up this conversation at that particular point. We are still waiting to see the effects of painting the country yellow and whether there could be some sort of an inroad to power for Musalia Mudavadi, leave alone what Professor says here. But time will tell definitely. Until we have this conversation again, have yourself a very lovely day. My name is Evans Okinyi.